Summer break arrived with a heatwave that turned the air into a thick, shimmering haze, the kind that made your shirt cling to your back and your throat ache for water. I needed an escape, something to shake off the weight of finals, family drama, and the monotony of my small town. So I planned a solo camping trip to Lake Harrow, a remote spot I'd heard about from an old forum post. It was an hour's drive through winding backroads, tucked deep in a pine forest with rocky cliffs hemming it in like jagged teeth. I'd never been, but the idea of solitude by the water felt like medicine. No friends, no family, just me, my tent, and the quiet. I packed light, a sleeping bag, some food, a flashlight, and a dog-eared book I'd been meaning to read. My car, a rattling old hatchback, groaned as I pulled onto the dirt path leading to the lake, the forest closing in around me, branches scraping the roof like bony fingers. I arrived late afternoon, the sun still blazing, its light bouncing off the lake's surface in blinding shards. Lake Harrow was smaller than I'd imagined, maybe 100 yards across, but so still it looked like a sheet of glass, reflecting the pines and cliffs with eerie precision. The shore was a mix of sand and pine needles, soft under my sneakers, and the air smelled of sap and damp earth, a clean, sharp scent that made me breathe deeper. I set up my tent a few yards from the water, hammering stakes into the ground, sweat dripping down my forehead. The cicadas buzzed in a relentless chorus, their drone rising and falling like a heartbeat, and I felt a flicker of peace for the first time in weeks. I gathered some sticks, built a small fire, and skewered a couple of hot dogs on a stick, the flames crackling as the sky turned orange, then purple, then a deep, star-dotted black. That's when I felt it, a hum, not a sound exactly, but a vibration, deep in my chest, like the lake itself was exhaling. I froze, hot dog halfway to my mouth, and glanced at the water. The surface was still, but the hum pulsed through the ground, steady, rhythmic, almost alive. I shook my head, muttering to myself about being overtired. I'd driven all day, barely slept the night before. Maybe it was the cicadas, or the wind through the cliffs, playing tricks on me. I finished eating, doused the fire with a bottle of water, and crawled into my tent, zipping it shut. The hum faded, or I thought it did, and I drifted into a restless sleep, the kind where you're half aware of the world outside, the rustle of leaves, the distant hoot of an owl. I woke with a start, my sleeping bag damp with sweat, the air inside the tent heavy and cold. The hum was back, louder, sharper, vibrating through the ground so hard I felt it in my teeth. I sat up, heart thudding, and unzipped the tent flap, peering out. The lake was rippling now, not from wind, there was none, but from something underneath, moving in slow, deliberate circles, like a predator circling prey. I grabbed my flashlight, its beam shaky in my hand, and shone it across the water. The light caught nothing but inky blackness, the stars reflecting like pinpricks, but the ripples grew, spreading toward the shore, toward me. Then a voice whispered, soft and hollow, from the lake, "Stay." My breath caught, a cold spike of fear shooting down my spine. I swung the flashlight around, nothing, just the trees, their shadows stretching long and jagged across the shore. The voice came again, clearer, almost pleading, "Stay with me." It wasn't right, too wet, too deep, like it had been submerged for years, bubbling up from the lake's depths. I scrambled out of the tent, my socks soaking in the damp sand, and stood, flashlight darting between the water and the forest. The hum turned into a wail, low and mournful, rising from the lake like a chorus of drowned voices, overlapping, pleading, screaming. I should have packed up right then, grabbed my keys, jumped in the car, and driven until the sun came up. But my stuff was scattered, my fire pit still smoldering, and the dark made the forest a labyrinth of roots and shadows. I decided to wait for dawn, my rational brain clinging to the idea that this was a dream, a hallucination from dehydration or exhaustion. I retreated to the tent, zipping it shut with trembling hands, and sat cross-legged on my sleeping bag, flashlight clutched like a lifeline. The wail didn't stop, it grew, pressing against the tent walls, the air inside turning colder, damper, smelling of algae and rot, like something had crawled out of the lake and into my space. I whispered to myself, "It's nothing, it's nothing," but the words felt hollow, my voice too small against the wail. Something pressed against the tent, a shape, long and thin, sliding along the fabric with a wet, slithering sound, leaving a glistening streak I could see through the mesh window. I bit my lip to keep from screaming, my knife now in hand, its blade useless against whatever this was. The voice whispered again, right outside, "You belong here." The tent shook, poles bending like they'd snap, as if hands, or something like hands, were grabbing them, tugging them from the ground. The earth beneath me softened, sinking, the sand turning to mud, cold and slick, seeping through the tent floor. I slashed at the fabric with my knife, cutting a jagged hole, and crawled out, my knees sinking into the muck. The lake was alive, rippling, churning, tendrils of water stretching onto the shore, glistening like liquid glass, moving with purpose. Faces formed in the waves, pale, eyeless, mouths open in silent screams, reaching for me with hands made of water, dripping, grasping. The wail became a roar, the voices screaming, "Stay! Stay! Stay!" as the tendrils wrapped around my ankles, cold as ice, pulling me toward the lake. I kicked free, slipping in the mud, and ran, pine needles stabbing my bare feet, branches clawing at my arms. The forest twisted around me, paths looping back to the lake, the hum vibrating in my bones, a tidal pull dragging me back. The water followed, slithering through the trees, a black wave defying gravity, the faces in it wailing, their hands reaching, fingers brushing my heels. I screamed, voice raw, and stumbled over roots, my flashlight falling, its beam spinning wildly before going out. The dark swallowed me, the hum of physical weight, pressing me down, whispering, "You're mine." I don't know how I made it to the road. Dawn broke, a faint gray light filtering through the trees, and the hum faded, the lake going still as I staggered to my car. My tent, my gear, my book, all gone, swallowed by the shore. I drove home, shaking, the smell of algae clinging to my clothes, my skin. I thought it was over, thought I'd escaped. But some nights, I wake to water pooling under my bed, cold and black, rippling with faces I can't unsee. My reflection in the mirror moves, ripples, smiles, whispers, "Stay." I don't go near water anymore. Lakes, rivers, even showers feel wrong, but it finds me, seeping through the cracks, dripping from the ceiling, the hum in my chest growing louder, pulling me back to Lake Harrow. I can't escape it, the lake's grip, the weight of its hunger, clawing at my dreams. Something ancient lives in still waters, something that claims you, marks you, drowns you in its endless need. If you're alone by a lake and the air turns heavy, if the water whispers your name, don't wait for dawn, run until the ground is dry, because it doesn't let go. It seeps, it clings, and once it's tasted you, you're never free. Check your reflections, your floors, your skin, there's water where there shouldn't be. It's coming for me, and it might come for you. Summer break always brought the carnival to town, a rickety setup at the fairgrounds, its faded tents and blinking lights a beacon of sticky sweet nostalgia. I'd gone every year since I was a kid, but this time, I went alone. It was the last night, the air thick with humidity, the sky a deep indigo speckled with stars. The crowd was thin, just a few stragglers wandering between booths, the smell of popcorn and diesel hanging heavy. I'd already eaten a funnel cake, its powdered sugar dusting my shirt, and played a few games, winning a cheap stuffed bear I'd probably toss later. But I wanted one more ride before they packed up for the season, something to cap the night. The Ferris wheel caught my eye, its neon flickering against the dark, the highest point swaying in the warm breeze. I bought a ticket from a bored-looking vendor, her nails tapping on the counter, and walked to the ride, my sneakers sticking to the trampled grass. The operator was a gaunt guy, tall and bony, with hollow eyes that didn't meet mine as he locked the bar on my cart. His hands were stained with grease, and he smelled faintly of cigarettes and sweat, a sharp contrast to the sugary air. "Enjoy," he muttered, voice flat, before stepping back to the controls. The wheel groaned to life, gears grinding, and I rose slowly, the fairground shrinking below, booths and tents shrinking to dollhouse size, the music fading to a distant hum, the lights twinkling like fireflies. At the top, the wheel stopped, a normal pause, I thought, to let riders take in the view. I leaned forward, the cart creaking under me, and looked out over the town, the streetlights glowing faint through the haze. But the pause stretched too long, the air growing colder, the neon on the wheel flickering, casting jagged shadows across my hands. The lights below dimmed, one by one, until the fairground was a black void, the only glow from the wheel's stuttering bulbs, buzzing like angry wasps. A sound started, a laugh, high and sharp, coming from the cart behind me. I twisted around, the bar digging into my stomach, but the cart was empty, its bar swinging loose, metal clanging softly in the breeze. The laugh came again, closer, like it was right over my shoulder, a giggle that sounded wet, wrong, like it had been gargled through a throat full of syrup. My skin prickled, the air turning sour with a smell like burnt sugar and rust, heavy and metallic. I banged on the bar, yelling down to the operator, "Hey, let me off." My voice echoed, swallowed by the dark, and the fairground stayed silent. No music, no voices, just that laugh, now a cackle, bouncing off the wheel's frame. The cart rocked, hard, like somebody had climbed in, the metal groaning under sudden weight. Something cold brushed my neck, fingers, maybe, or breath, and I kicked at the air, screaming, my voice raw, "Get away." The wheel jolted, dropping a few feet with a screech, then stopped again, swaying so hard I thought it'd snap free. I clung to the bar, my palms slick with sweat, as the laugh turned into a voice, hissing in my ear, "You're the last one." The neon flickered faster, strobing, and I saw it, a shadow in the cart with me, tall and thin, its edges blurred, head tilted at an impossible angle. I screamed again, kicking harder, and the wheel spun, too fast, carts rattling like they'd break apart, the wind whipping my hair, the shadow's laugh rising over the noise, a high, keening wail that made my ears ache. It stopped at the bottom, the bar flying open with a clang, and I tumbled out, scraping my knees on the dirt, my stuffed bear falling somewhere behind me. I scrambled to my feet, looking for the operator. His booth was empty, the controls untouched, a cigarette still burning on the ledge, its ember glowing red. The fairground was a ghost town, tents flapping in the wind, their canvas stained with mildew, the game booths shuttered, the lights off. I ran, my sneakers pounding the dirt, the laugh following, echoing off the funhouse mirrors as I passed, their warped glass reflecting shapes that weren't mine, too tall, too thin, eyes too big. I ducked into the hall of mirrors, hoping to hide, my breath fogging the glass as I pressed against a wall. The mirrors stretched endlessly, my reflection warping, my face stretching, eyes bulging, mouth twisting into a smile I didn't make. The laugh was everywhere now, bouncing off the glass, a cacophony of giggles that made my head throb. My reflection moved, smiled wider, when I didn't, its eyes glinting red in the dim light. The voice hissed again, "You're the last one," and the glass rippled, my reflection reaching out, fingers brushing my real hand, cold and slick, like they'd been dipped in oil. I yanked back, the mirror shattering under my elbow, glass raining down, cutting my arm as I ran, the laugh chasing me through the maze. Every turn led to more mirrors, more reflections, each one moving on its own, laughing, reaching, their hands breaking through the glass, shards flying. I burst out of the funhouse, the fairground darker now, the tent sagging, the air thick with that burnt sugar stench. The Ferris wheel loomed behind me, its neon off, but I heard it, the creak of its gears, the clatter of empty carts, the laugh rising like a storm. I sprinted for the gate, my lungs burning, the ground soft underfoot, like it had been soaked in something sticky. I made it to the road, collapsing on the asphalt, the fairground going dark behind me, like it had never been there at all. I flagged down a car, a late-night trucker who called the cops. They searched the fairgrounds the next day, found nothing, no carnival, no tents, just my blood on the dirt and a single mirror shard with my reflection still smiling, frozen in the glass. They said it was a prank, a hallucination from heatstroke, but I hear it some nights, the creak of a Ferris wheel, that giggle in the wind, carried on the summer breeze. My reflection in the bathroom mirror moves sometimes, tilts its head, smiles, whispers, "Last ride." I don't go to carnivals anymore, don't trust mirrors, don't stay out late, but it's waiting, always waiting, for me to ride again. I can't unhear it, the carnival's call, the giggle that knows my face. Something rides the empty wheels, something that hunts the last to leave, trapping you in its mirrors, its laughter. If you're at a fair and the lights go dim, if you hear a laugh that's not yours, don't wait for the ride to end, run until the music dies, because it doesn't forget. It reflects, it waits, and once it's seen you, you're its last ride. Check your mirrors, your shadows, your nights, it's laughing for me, and it might laugh for you. Summer break meant freedom in the woods behind my house, a sprawling tangle of oaks, brambles, and hidden trails I'd explored since I was a kid. The air was always warm, thick with the scent of moss and pine, the ground soft with fallen leaves and needles. I'd spend hours out there, chasing rabbits, climbing trees, carving my initials into bark, the cicadas singing their endless song. That year, I stumbled on something new, a clearing I'd never seen, a perfect circle of grass about 20 feet wide, ringed by dense undergrowth, glowing at dusk with fireflies. Their lights pulsed like tiny heartbeats, greenish-yellow, brighter than any I'd seen, moving in patterns, spirals, waves, almost like they were spelling something in the air. I was hooked, drawn to the magic of it, my own little secret spot. I started going every night, bringing a blanket to sit on, a sketchbook to draw the fireflies, my flashlight casting a soft glow over the pages. The clearing felt alive, the fireflies dancing in sync, their hum a gentle buzz that lulled me into a trance. I'd sketch their patterns, trying to capture the way they moved, the way their light seemed to pulse with intent. The air was warm, heavy with sap and earth, and I'd lie back, watching the stars through the canopy, the fireflies framing them like a glowing halo. It was perfect, until the fifth night, when they stopped dancing and started watching. I'd brought my sketchbook as usual, my pencil scratching out the spirals of light, the fireflies brighter than ever, their glow almost blinding, a greenish yellow that left spots in my vision. The air shifted, turning cold fast, the kind of chill that seeps into your bones, raising goosebumps on my arms. I sat up, frowning, as the fireflies froze mid-air, hundreds of them, their light steady, all facing me. Their hum changed, rising to a high-pitched whine, sharp enough to make my ears ache. I laughed, nervous, thinking it was a trick of the light, a weird bug behavior I didn't understand. "What are you doing, little guys?" I muttered, but the words felt hollow, my voice too small against the whine. They moved then, swarming closer, forming a tight ring around me, their light so bright I had to shield my eyes, the whine turning into a voice, thousands of voices, whispering together, "We see you." My flashlight flickered, then died, plunging the clearing into darkness except for their glow, a sickly green that painted my skin, my blanket, the grass. The ground beneath me shifted, grass parting with a wet crack, revealing something buried, a stone, smooth and gray, carved with symbols I didn't recognize, pulsing with the same green light as the fireflies. The voices chanted, "Stay, stay, stay," and the fireflies dove, landing on my skin, their tiny legs burning like acid, leaving welts that throbbed with each pulse of their light. I screamed, swatting them off, my arms streaked with red, glowing marks, and stumbled to my feet, the blanket tangling around my legs. The swarm tightened, their light blinding, the whine now a scream in my skull. "You woke us." I ran, crashing through the undergrowth, branches clawing at my face, thorns tearing my jeans. The fireflies chased me, a glowing cloud, their light searing through the trees, lighting my path in sickly green. The woods twisted, paths bending back to the clearing, the ground soft and sinking, like it wanted to swallow me. I tripped over a root, falling hard, my sketchbook skidding into the dirt, and the fireflies swarmed the stone again, their light revealing more, dozens of stones, each with a name, each glowing, the ground around them soft, like graves. I crawled closer, my hands shaking, and saw the names, old, faded, some from decades ago, kids who'd gone missing, stories I'd heard as warnings. The last stone was fresh, dirt still wet, and my name was carved into it, the letters jagged, glowing green. The voices roared, "You're ours," and the fireflies swarmed again, their light burning my eyes, my skin, their legs digging into the welts, drawing blood. I scrambled up, running blind, the woods alive with their hum, branches snapping behind me, the ground trembling like something was rising. My name echoed through the trees, chanted by the voices, a promise, a claim. I don't know how I got out. The sun rose, a faint gold through the canopy, and the fireflies vanished, the clearing gone, like it had never been there. I stumbled home, my arms burning, welts glowing faintly in the dawn light, my sketchbook clutched in my hands. Inside, I found a photo I didn't take, me in the clearing, surrounded by fireflies, my eyes glowing green, my face blank. My parents didn't believe me, said I'd scratched myself on thorns, but the welts don't fade, they pulse at night, the hum in my ears, the woods calling me back. I hear them in the dark, the fireflies, their voices, chanting my name, waiting for me to return. I can't unsee it, their light, their hunger, burning me from the inside out. Something ancient wakes in the woods, something that marks you, claims you, buries you in its glow. If you're in a forest and the fireflies stop, if they whisper your name, don't look down, run until the light fades, because they don't sleep. They watch, they carve, and once they've named you, you're theirs. Check your skin, your photos, your woods. There's a glow where there shouldn't be. They're waiting for me, and they might wait for you.